Welcome to this week's 5-year plan podcast.
Hey! Oh, just me then.
Okay, I did think it was going to be a bit of a sort of muted way, given the result of the weekend, which we will get onto, of course, as Palace lost the first game of the season. I
think that's the most unnecessary menu we've ever given out on the show, isn't it? Really?
It's not really a menu.
We might be mentioning the.
Well, obviously we will be. That's the whole point of the pod. And we'll introduce our guests in a bit, but before we do that, we've got our sponsors, of course, which is Vector Printing for all your print and embroidery needs. Go to vector.co.uk, and there's Vector with her.
Okay. He doesn't want to do the third one.
Fine. And JCIS, the global research and brand consultancy from South London. Visit jc-is.com.
I will.
Hey, I'm staying.
It's an only job, mate. Sorry about that. Has to be done.
You had your moment. You lost it. Okay, so before we get onto the pod, new season of FYP is out against Swansea on August the 26th. Which is our next home game? Next home game. So there's loads of stuff in that. £1.50, usual price. Look out for it against Swansea from, I don't know, 1 o'clock, 1:30. Who knows? We'll let you know. And that's it. Who's on the pod this week? Kevin Day.
Hello.
Travis Endicott.
Hello.
Andy Street.
Hello.
Good. Right. What happened on Saturday, Kevin? What happened?
Well, do you want? We can have the short version, in which case the pod could end in about a minute's time, or we can have the long version. The short version is that a team with a manager who'd been there less than 6 weeks, adapting to a system that they had less than 6 weeks, and in some cases a couple of days to adapt to, were playing a team with individually inferior players who'd been playing the same system for a year and a half, basically. That's the short version.
That's the long version.
That plus Joel Ward, essentially. But whatever, we'll talk about it all night. I was astonished. I was disappointed. Of course I was. We all were. I was astonished at the level of vitriol and criticism from Palace fans. Even during, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it wasn't good in any way, shape or form. But what did we expect? And it's going to take some time. And I just clearly think there are some Palace fans who are still sulking about the fact we haven't signed Mamadou Sakho.
Which we still might do. Still a few weeks left.
I think we will.
I think we won't. But
do you want to have a charity bet?
We can have a bet for charity.
£5.
I don't think. I think it's too late to sign. I don't think we'll sign him now because De Boer will think it looks like a sign of week. He doesn't fit De Boer's profile. De Boer's not interesed. He's not a good enough footballer.
Do we need him?
But regardless, I mean that's an argument for later on in the pod. But I just thought the criticism after the game was frankly ludicrous.
Okay, well on that then, because we've had.
Frankly, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Nice. We've had so many questions. I've put some questions in part one.
Oh yes, I didn't. I've just this is what I did then. Yeah. Ronald Lee, ludicrous. Sammy Lee, ludicrous.
Tony King,
in Hawaii, I believe.
Nice. Tony King.
Hi Tony.
Has said on a sliding scale of meltdowns. I'll put this one to Andy. Where does this one sit?
I mean, I've seen so many of them now that I'm rather desensitised to it, frankly. It was a meltdown, but you tend to get meltdowns pretty regularly, don't you?
You talk about player meltdown or fan meltdown?
Well, both. I mean, they both could apply, frankly, couldn't they?
I assume fan meltdown, but
I mean, there's an issue here, isn't there? Sort of management of expectations, where you've been sort of trumpeting the fact that they look amazing in training and that it's the Dutch Revolution and that we've taken on someone who was nearly a World Cup winner in 98 when he made the semi-finals, and in 2000 when I think they reached the final again and lost to France, and heralded player.
Yeah, great player.
Won the Champions League with Ajax. Did he win it with Barcelona?
Probably.
This is almost like a trivia segment rather than
you could
actually any form of analysis. Thank you very much.
100
but like we were. It's not that I'm not fully blaming it on stuff coming out of the club, because a lot of it then comes down to perceptions fans have and expectations that everything is immediately going to be great, and that because we're trying to play the Barcelona way that immediately they'll look like Barcelona, rather than, to coin a phrase from a good friend, trying to play Barcelona tactics with Barnsley players, which is what it looked like at times. I mean, Scott Dann cannot play, in my opinion, as the central centre-back in that three.
Why not?
He's just not a good enough ball player. I mean, he's okay on the ball. He's not intuitive enough with his movement.
We used to herald him as this brilliant ball playing defender.
Well, he was in that sort of older system. He was in that older system in the same way that Joel Ward looked okay in a deep 4-4-2, 4-5-1 that we played sort of Pulis or Allardyce style. But as soon as you ask him to cover in behind, Joel Ward looks like a fish out of water. And similarly, Scott Dann, when he has to actually, as a central centre back in the three, push up into midfield when you've got the ball but higher up the pitch, he's not able to do that. He's just not got the positional wherewithal. And at the moment, it just looked, well, it's one game, so we shouldn't get too carried away. And I was saying all these things very much in context after the match when I was talking about it. It is only one game, but it did look a little bit like a punk band trying to play modal jazz. It just looked like, completely the wrong format. You've given this guy who only knows how to play three guitar chords a saxophone and said, go and emulate John Coltrane. And he's gone, what? I don't know what you're talking about. You just ask them to do something that's completely foreign to them. And some of them might adapt. Some of them might just be a little bit naive, like the two other centre-backs there who are, 19 and 20, which is very young to be playing as part of central defence in the Premier League. Some of them may not adapt at all. Going to have to take it,
But we have had pre-season playing under this system, and that's the thing. We've had the whole pre-season doing it and trying to implement it. It has only been a few games. The weird thing is, though, is only having 5 or 6 games with a few players trying to put this formation, a new tactical thing in place, and then suddenly bringing in players that haven't played during pre-season into that system. Which moves me on to the Joel Ward situation. And Fossey Mensah, who's only been at the club and training since probably Tuesday, Wednesday, pushed straight into that system. So now suddenly, out of the back three, you've got one player who's never played in the Premier League, one player who's playing a new system for a new team that he only just joined in that week. You've got a right wing-back who hasn't played any of the pre-season at right wing-back. And it just looked as if it was, I don't know, it was set up to fail. After I was looking in the pub at the lineup, and when I saw Ward in there, I was trying to figure out what formation we're actually trying to play, because I didn't believe that actually he was going to walk into that starting lineup. And I can see why he wasn't picked in pre-season. I don't know why he was picked then.
Come the middle of September, it might end up looking, super coherent, and this will sound like a ridiculous conversation. But
True.
You look at that performance on Saturday, and it was a bad performance.
It's not a ridiculous conversation because it was bad.
It was bad. It was. There's no point denying it was bad. But first of all, I think you have to listen to what David Wagner said afterwards. He said 3-0 flattered them. Even in playing badly, their keeper started to make 3 or 4 really good saves. It wasn't just the 3-4-3. Wolf had an off day. Wolf just wasn't there at all. Wolf looked like he was worried about getting battered from minute one.
And he did get battered.
Partly because of the referee, and I agree. But Wolf looked like he just made the wrong options. Benteke doesn't work in that system for me. He doesn't work hard enough. But it was. I can only. We've talked before about what I like to call the Pawson's murmur at 2:00 when the teams come out, and it was like literally the whole pub was just going. This is not, because we talked last week on the pod when we thought that Fossey Mensah was coming in, and we said, well, this is a good problem, because does he come in as the third centre back and that releases Luca to go into midfield? Does he come in as the right wing back for whatever you call it, and that releases Andros to go further up? But these were good issues. So where does Loftus-Cheek play? Blah, blah. And so the Ward thing was a complete and utter curveball, and he just looked out of place in the situation. And let's be fair, whatever the system, it was 2 mistakes by Ward that cost the goals, and that's not to do with the system. The system won Chelsea the Premier League. The system won Arsenal 10 out of 11 games. The system's not as alien to British football as everyone seems to think it is. But whatever system you play, you can't legislate for that rank bad defending at a corner, or for the second goal when he was caught.
For me, was the one that did it, because Ward in that back, he was dragged out of position a little bit, but there was no cover behind him for the 1-2 that got played behind him. Although he was playing for getting dragged out. But when the ball got played into the box, I just paused it. When that ball's in mid-air, you've got Van Aanholt, and you've got the Riederwald, and you've got Dan, and you've got Fossey Mensah standing in the line like they're zonal marking a corner or a free kick. And he just strolls up, Mounier strolls up and jumps. And Riederwald doesn't even jump off the ground to challenge him for the header. It just feels like that 3 at the back has thrown everyone. And instead of having 3 players to mark a striker, it just looked confused and lost.
Well, I think, to me, it looked like they just weren't expecting the cross to get in. There were 3 players who just thought, well, there's no way this ball's going to be coming in.
Well, they should have known it was coming in 3 seconds when that 1-2 went around. There was nothing else that was going to happen.
The whole Ward thing was, everyone's going, well, Andros must be going, and well, Ward's going. We know Ward's going. So what that picking Ward was
strange.
Was
really
strange.
Behind Ward, did you hear that Townsend turned up late and was thus dropped for the game?
Well, they should have explained that after. It still doesn't. Loftus-Cheek playing wide right. That it's.
Well, what if Benteke turns up late? Do you drop him for Keshi Anderson?